Hidden deep within the northern lands of Japan stood a mountain known as Yuikama, Snow Mountain. Settled within its snowy terrain was a small, remote village, Kazanaka, or Kazana. Long ago, many settlers traveled to the snowy mountains with hopes of living peaceful lives and avoiding encounters with demons. For the next 100 years, Mount Yukiyama became a safe haven for many travelers. However, it wasn't long until there were reports of people going missing. Kojuro's feet walked along the dirt path as he gripped the edge of his Sanajori, Ronin samurai hat, to keep the chilly winds from his eyes. The cold never really bothered him much due to being the flame Hashira. Flame breathing makes him practically immune to the cold temperatures, as he'd learned a long time ago how to keep his body temperature warm. He was practically a walking furnace. And chronically, this wouldn't be the first time he'd been to Kanaza village. In fact, this would make it his fourth time journeying to Kazana, because the first time he arrived was about a year ago, and he had been on a mission at that time. There had been reports of people going missing, followed by sightings of strange humanoid-like creatures, and Kyojuro was summoned to investigate. It had indeed been the doing of a demon, and he had successfully in exterminating the vile fetch, since it was already a lower-class demon. Prior to the village congratulations with his success, Kyojuro couldn't help but overhear some of the villagers tell bizarre rumors of sighting of a beautiful girl wearing a white kimono spotted east of Kazana. It was when the flame Hashira began hearing legends of Kanaza village local Yuki-ana, or Snow Woman. Now Kyojuro was never the type to believe in ghost stories, but for some reason, this one indulged him. As he recalled, the Yuki-ana was said to be a yokai, bizarre spirit, that stalked and preyed upon wanderers, travelers lost in the snowstorms. Kyojuro couldn't help but find the urban legend interesting, and he soon became curious to know if the rumors were true. So, with that in mind, Kyojuro headed to the location where the sightings were said to occur. As he wandered around the old mountain road for what felt like hours, with still no sightings of the beautiful girl wearing a white kimono, Kyojuro began to have doubts. He wondered if the Yuki-ana truly existed, appearing on snowy days to lure unexpected travelers to their doom. The thought sent a shiver down his spine, but also filled him with a sense of excitement. Perhaps the Yuki-ana doesn't exist, he said to himself, and sighed in disappointment. He couldn't shake the feeling of the longing that the rumors of the Snow Woman had stirred within him. What a shame, in here I thought I'd get a chance to see a pretty girl. As he turned to head back towards the village, that's when he saw her, the Yuki-ana of Kasa village. And she was standing only a few feet away from him, and Kyojuro quickly realized that she had been following him. Just as the rumor said, she was indeed beautiful. A true enchanted beauty with colored hair so vivid and astonishing, eye-colored eyes that stared at him with curiosity. His heart beat rapidly in his chest as a thought it sat flame while he started longingly at her from head to toe. The sound of his own heartbeat echoed in his ears, matching the rhythm of his racing pulse. His eyes traced the curves of her body, taking in every detail with a mixture of desire and admiration. It was as if time stood still that moment, suspending in the air was he tried to capture every fleeting second. The intensity of his feelings grew with each passing moment, leaving him in a state of blissful enchantment. For the longest time, they hadn't said anything to each other as Kojo continued to gawk at how breathtaking beautifully she was. He couldn't tear his gaze away from her, but he constantly captivated by her. And it's at that moment that Kojo noticed something very particular. The Okayana before him wasn't a yokai or a ghost at all, but instead a regular human being, just like himself. Her odd-colored eyes locked onto his memorizing gold and red gaze, holding a hint of curiosity and wonder. With each stable blink, she seemed to be slightly urging him to say or do something, which she didn't have to wait too long. As for Kojo, finally took a step towards her, and she, in response, took a step back, as if afraid he was going to attack her. "Marry me," Kojo suddenly blurted out. Wait, what?" she questioned with curiosity written in her pretty face. Kojo blushed as his eyes grew even wider. Holy shit, even her voice was beautiful, and it felt the butterflies within his stomach flutter at the sound of it. "Marry me," the flame pillar exclaimed again. No, I don't know you like that." She furrowed her eyebrows at him as she avoided his advances. "Be mine, my beautiful Okiana," he said again. "Stay away from me, you creep," she said, flailing and blushing. "Marry me." "No, stay away." Thus began the never-ending game of cat and mouse. Kojo smiled at the memory of how he'd met Yin. Though he didn't mean to act like a simp. He just had to pass the trials and win over Yin's heart so she'd be his wife. Upon entering the tea house, the bartender's eyes glanced his way, but he quickly returned to what he was doing. It became a custom for the local Kazana to know a demon slayer when they see one, as Kyojuro slowly glanced around until he spotted a hand waving to him from the back. Smiling, he calmly made his way over to the table, where an old, white-haired woman wearing a mint green haori with a peach-colored kimono with floral patterns was seated. She appeared to be in her early 70s as she greeted him with a warm and welcoming smile. "So glad you could make it, young Rengoku-san. I've been expecting you," she said, this before alerting her wise brown eyes over to the averting clock on the wall. And you're right on time, too," she smiled before taking a sip of her tea. The flame Hashira nodded as he crossed his arms over his chest. "The same goes for you as well, Lady Fugisawa. Fugisawa-sama. And what kind of man would I be if I wouldn't show up for my own trial?" he asked. "You're just as alert as ever, I see." Lady Otsu Fugiwawa, as Rengoku has to come to know, is the well-respected priestess of Kazuha Mountain's temple. She's also an excellent herbalist and fortune-teller, though most of her past was still shrouded in mystery. She also happened to be Yin's guardian. Usually most young men would just leave after being rejected by Yin, or because they simply can't take the cold. She says it with a closed-eyed smirk. I would never give up on making Yin my beloved wife," the flame Hashira says enthusiastically, and Otsu could practically feel the fire radiating from his very soul. Then you may just be the one who can melt her heart," Otsu said as she stood, then grabbing her walking cane with a hand-curved owl head. "But don't expect her to welcome you with open arms," she adds before starting towards the door. Kyojuro smiled, following close behind her. Soon, he would finally be reunited with his beloved snowflower.